All right, everybody, welcome to the Very, Very Late Show. You know me, I'm your host, Bobby Late Night, and today is a very special episode because we are now the first American's television show to air after 10 p.m. Pacific time. And along with that, we have a very special guest from the American science community here to join us today. Would you like to?
So good to meet you, Bobby Late Night. I've always wanted to be on your show.
So, to start off, you as a very intellectual individual, what is your opinion on the 1920s?
The 1920s is a decade of culmination in science and technology. Experiments and inventions scientists have been working on for years are finally out of its developmental stage and into the people's lives for the better. Like modes of transportation, Henry Ford's cars, the Wright brothers' successful airplane. It just really helped us expand and grow as a nation.
Of course.
And, my old jalopy outside ain't that very comfortable. It breaks down from time to time, but I'm sure advances will be made in the future.
Okay. And you also mentioned inventions like the car, the planes, and the like. Aside from all those, what is your opinion on space and how it's further impacting individuals in America?
Well, Mr. Late Night, scientists like me have always believed that the Milky Way galaxy was the entire universe. We had no idea how wrong we truly were. Astronomers have recently found that the Milky Way is just one out of a multitude of other galaxies. When I first heard this information, I thought it was complete horse feathers.
Obviously, yeah.
Until a couple of friends of mine who work in that field showed me their evidence, and I was completely astounded. They also discovered that the universe was fairly static until the Big Bang Theory of the origin of the universe was set forth. Now the universe is said to be rapidly expanding and ever-changing. And to a guy like me, that's the bee's knees to study.
Alright. Well, that was very, very informative, and I very much thank you for having me, or having you on your show.
I'm an honored guest to be on your show. Thank you so much, Mr. Late Night.
Of course. Alright, everybody. That's all the time we have for today. I want to thank every single one of you for joining our very special episode, and God bless. Welcome to the Very, Very Late Show. You know me, Bobby Late Night. And today is a rather unique episode because we have here as our guest a substitute teacher who taught evolution. So, why don't you come down?
Hi, Bobby. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So, explain to me what happened.
So, I was a substitute teacher, and I taught human evolution, which is illegal, which is banana oil, as we all know. So, they put me on trial. Luckily, the ACLU they stepped in, and they got a really good lawyer to defend me. And the other lawyer was also very good, the prosecutor. They were both big cheese. But unfortunately, I was found guilty because they're using the Bible for education, and they fined me $150.
People, man, they're ossified.
People shouldn't. They should just listen to what science is saying in public schools. These kind of things shouldn't matter, and teaching evolution shouldn't be illegal.
So you disprove the Bible.
Well, yes, it's a controversial opinion, but that's what Charles Darwin said, and he had evidence.
Okay. All right. Seems like you have a very interesting take on evolution, and I thank you for your time. And anytime.
Thanks for having me. Hopefully this will raise awareness about the issue.
Well, I hope it does. And that concludes our episode for the Very, Very Late Show. I'm your host, Bobby Late Night, and much love to you all. All right. Welcome to the Very, Very Late Show. I'm your host, Bobby Late Night, and today we have a very, very swell episode because we have Dr. Arthur Fleming, who is going to be making a special appearance right now. So, Mr. Fleming, how are you doing, sir?
Mr. Late Night.
So, Dr. Fleming, what are you going to be talking about exactly?
Well, you see, Mr. Late Night, I have just created a brand new drug that could maybe even save the lives of millions. I call it penicillin. So, well, you see, I was just cleaning out some discarded glassware at the lab that I work in when I noticed the green mold doing something to a bacteria that we stored in a petri dish. and it seemed as if like the green mold was actually killing off that bacteria. And well, I think I'll tell you the rest of the story in the form of a flashback.
So, I think I've done it. Done what, Fleming? I think I found a way to fight back against diseases. And this green mold is the key to that. What are you talking about, Fleming? So, this green mold that I'm holding in my hand is killing off one of the bacteria that we store. If I can identify the agent inside of the mold that's allowing it to kill off the bacteria, then maybe I can use that specific agent to create an antibiotic drug. Well, that's great and all, Fleming, but it just kind of sounds ridiculous. But so, I have it right here in my hand. If you could just
I'm sorry,
look,
Fleming,
but a bacteria being killed off by a mold is just ridiculous. It just doesn't sound realistic. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna have to ask you to scram. I have to be with my swanky flapper in the dance club in about an hour. Apparently there's this new thing that's going on right now called the dab.
Well, since no one's been like taking my discovery really seriously, I decided that the only way to make people listen to me was if I came onto your talk show and talked about it.
Well, I love your enthusiasm and your motive for coming here. So tell me, what is the drug used to do, rather?
Well, penicillin is used to treat bacterial infections such as streptococcal upper respiratory tract infections, scarlet fever, and erysipelas infections.
Well, I'm glad that you came on here, and your motives for coming here are very, very, very informative.
Thank you for having me again.
Anytime. And that concludes our very, very late show episode with your host, Bobby Late Night, and I'll see you on the next episode. God bless.
This episode is sponsored by penicillin. Penicillin does not protect against colds, flu, or other viral infections such as tuberculosis. If you experience twitching, mild skin rash, nausea, vomiting, upset stomach, diarrhea, black tongue, fever, chills, muscle pain, headache, hyperventilation, low blood pressure, allergic reactions, or even death, contact your doctor right away because penicillin may not be right for you and you're not liable. Batteries are included.
So, you made it through the movie. Sure, you had a few good laughs here and there, but the real question being asked here and now is, what did you learn while watching this movie? I sure do know that the actors learned a lot while filming this film. In fact, why don't we go and ask them, what did they learn while shooting this movie? So what did you learn while shooting this film?
Do you want to start or should I start?
I guess I'll start. So, what I learned from shooting this film was, aside from me being the best actor, that's a lie.
That's funny. That's funny, yeah.
But aside from all of that, the 1920s was really a change in American history because not only did it bring many of the technologies that we see today, but it also laid an underlying basis as to how the technologies would progress in the future. Basically, how entertainment would prosper, examples being movies and radio/television, and also big businesses like the car industry, possibly the plane industry, and also different scientific discoveries like space, discovering new galaxies, and just in general how our planet is one of possibly a billion or trillion different other planets from Milky Way and the like.
Well, what I learned from this film project was the modes of transportation they used, like Henry Ford's cars, as of like opening his assembly line in 1913, but World War I slowed the growth of the automobile ownership. So during the 1920s, the private car became a fixture of everyday American life. As late as 1919, there was about 6.8 million passenger cars on the road in a country of about 105 million people. By 1929, there were 23 million cars for about 122 million people. And airplanes were overall a little bit right, as we all know. Made the first successful manned flight in 1903, but little progress was made until World War I through 1914-1918 provided the impetus for improved aeronautic technology In 1920, the airplane was still mainly a county fair curiosity. By the late 1920s, the major U.S. cities were linked by regular scheduled airline service. Another fixture of modern life had appeared. And that's what I learned.
Alright.
So Marcus, what did you learn through this film project we did in history?
Well, I have learned a lot about penicillin and its creator. And in fact, his name wasn't actually Arthur Fleming. It was actually Alexander Fleming. There was like kind of an issue, like miscommunication skills. So anyway, penicillin, it was basically like one of the most like powerful like infection like fighters ever for like bacterial infections. And like even though it was like revolutionary, like his Alexander Fleming's discovery, yet no one actually took it very seriously. It took about 10 years for people to really take his like research seriously. And nevertheless, penicillin has actually paved the way for more powerful antibiotics and drugs. And without Alexander Fleming's research and discovery of penicillin, minor injuries would just become even worse without the use of antibiotics or discovery of antibiotics.
Yeah, I was the person who played John T. Scopes in the movie. He was a teacher in Tennessee where it was illegal to teach evolution at the time. The ACLU had agreed to defend any teacher who challenged the law, and so he did. He was arrested, and the ACLU stepped in to defend him in court. Both the lawyers that fought on both sides were very famous. Clarence Darrow defended Scopes, and William Jennings Bryan prosecuted him. The trial grabbed international attention very quickly, and it was the first trial to be broadcasted on radio. The ACLU hoped that the law would be overturned, but they lost the case, and Scopes was fined for teaching evolution. The Supreme Court did overturn the ruling a year after, but it was based off a technicality and the law remained.
And there you have it, folks. Now you know what the actors learned while shooting this movie. Well, that's all I have for today. Unless we've got another film project coming soon, I'll see you all next time. Oh, and no clones were harmed during the making of this film. Okay, goodbye everyone.